Check out this story. It's not the biggest story in the world, but it needs to be talked about. SWAT team sweeps homeless out of Washington State hotel that was taken over by activists. This should be major news. Check this out. 2 Olympia police SWAT teams, 2 teams, went door to door at the Red Lion Hotel Sunday night, breaking up what police called a forcible occupation by homeless advocates. Other officers escorted out employees who were sheltering in the basement for more than 6 hours, feeling trapped, police said. 7 people were detained. More arrests are expected. CBS affiliate Cairo TV reports the incident was similar to one seen recently in Fife, Washington. The activists from a group called Oli Housing Now paid for 17 rooms for one night, moved in 33 homeless people, and tried to arrange for them to stay indefinitely without paying. They demanded that Thurston County use funds from FEMA to pay for rooms. We're just ready to stand our ground. We don't mean any harm. We actually want this hotel to get business. That's the opposite of what's going to happen, by the way. Police said they started receiving calls at about 11 a.m. from hotel employees who said people with batons, knives, hatchets, gas masks, helmets, and goggles had entered the lobby, apparently prepared for a confrontation. Once officers estimated there were about 45 members of the group inside and out. Now, they just had batons, knives, hatchets, gas masks, helmets, and goggles, but they don't mean any harm. The knives are for buttering their bread,
of course,
and making toast for the homeless. Mm-hmm. The batons are for playing wiffle ball out in the backyard, and the masks, those are just to look cool. Well, everyone's got to wear a mask. It's COVID. They were being conscientious when they decided to take over a hotel.
I see you've done your due diligence.
What?
You've obviously looked into this.
No, I just read. I read the story.
So
earlier.
These people staged an armed occupation of a hotel, a private hotel.
That's right.
Okay.
Have you heard? Did you hear about this?
No, but I'm kind of glad the SWAT team came in and cleared them out.
2 SWAT teams.
Wow.
Raided a hotel because far left activists with weapons were threatening hotel employees. But
because they're desperate for a place for people to live.
Yeah.
In the winter.
Yeah, and you know it does underscore very serious problems we have in our country. You know, I was talking about Jon Stewart earlier. He tweeted that, in response to getting smacked around by like these late night hosts over his pro Wall Street bets comment. He said, "So if I do good at this, do I become president?" And then I was like, "Yeah, become president. What are you gonna do? Run on your unrelenting support for 9/11 first responders? Yeah, I'd totally vote for that. No, really, I would totally vote for that. Jon Stewart's awesome." And the point I was making is that we will send $10 million to Pakistani gender studies programs. You know, for what reason, I have no idea. We'll send billions of dollars in foreign aid while we have people sleeping on the streets. Now, I'm not saying the solution is just giving these people homes or taking over a hotel. I worked for a homeless shelter. I've worked for nonprofits. The problem is extremely complicated. Many of these people are not well. They can't work even if they want to because they're not well. So what do? We don't just throw them in the street. Well, what happens is when our government takes our money, our tax dollars, when they print massive amounts of money, they strip our value away and their buddies rip us off. They send that money overseas for God knows what, and they do nothing to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And you end up with a bunch of angry people who show up with batons, and that doesn't solve the problem either. But hey, I can respect the anger, to be honest. I'm sick of the money being wasted on nonsensical bull crap. I don't understand how the Flint crisis went on as long as it did, with them screaming and everyone knowing, and every left-wing advocacy group saying these pipes are getting lead into kids' mouths. And it's like, yeah, but gender studies in Pakistan, you know, they need money for those programs, right?
Yeah, and where did they get the money? I mean, we're talking about income tax, sales tax, property tax, capital gains tax, which a lot of people are going to be finding out about very soon, especially if you're on Reddit. Inheritance tax. I mean, when you look at the rate that the American people are taxed, I mean, it's not as high as Europe, but when you add it all up, it's absolutely incredibly jaw-dropping to understand how much money the government takes, and then where do they spend the money? As you said, you know, speedboats for Sri Lanka. That was literally in the budget bill. In fact, that was passed.
What's going on in Myanmar? I hear there was a military revolution.
Well, that's a whole other topic in itself.
Has that been funded by the U.S.
But this is another
Biden administration?
Before we jump there, I want to finish on this topic here particularly because when you look at the homeless situation, it's about to get way, way worse. Not only because of the larger financial tsunami coming our way from the ramifications of the 2020 lockdowns, which they're coming, which we still haven't felt the full ramifications of. It's going to hit people, and it's going to hit people hard. Economic flows usually take months, usually even take sometimes these years to fully affect people. But this is another thing we need to realize here. A lot of the homelessness issues are surrounded mental health. Mental health is plummeting in the United States at a dramatic rate. When we see suicides, self-harm, depression going dramatically down, and that's going to cause another extreme situation. And when you have extreme situations, people are going to see extreme solutions, just like those people in the hotels. I don't want this to happen.
What we're seeing is the extraction of the system at the very last minute. I think that the establishment elites, the politicians, the Wall Street bankers, the big CEOs and all this stuff, they've given up. They're looking at everything and they're like, ship's going down. What should we do? Well, grab as much of the fine china and silverware as you can, get to an escape boat, and then get out before anyone realizes the ship's sinking.
Ship going down.
That's what it feels like. It feels like the homelessness crisis, the evictions that are looming. The fact that people aren't getting cash right now, their businesses have been destroyed. The ship is about to crash. They know it. And so they're just like, let's just take what we can.
Yeah, they're printing as much as they can, buying as much land as they can, investing in as much stock and stuff that's going to
short, or not investing, shorting the stocks to make sure that they collapse.
Look, they printed all this money. Most of it goes to these massive corporations. They pay out their bonuses. They buy land. They buy hard assets. Then the dollar tanks. Then what? They leave you holding the bag.
Homelessness is pretty nasty. I agree with you. I've also seen that some people with mental disabilities or whatever that are not in a position that even if you give them a place to stay, a job, and a bunch of money, they're going to fail and land right back on the street. There are some people like that, but there are many people that are homeless, and what they need is a shower and a bed. They need a shower so that they can clean themselves, so that they can become presentable to get the job. Because if you stink, you're not going to get the job.
They need a shower. They need a clean shirt. They need a haircut. They need a shave. And it's really hard to do when you live nowhere.
Right.
You have nowhere to go. And so that's why I do like these shelters. I don't know if we'll ever find a solution because sometimes people become destitute. Sometimes people, they can't.
Repurposing empty buildings for homeless people. Why is that not more common?
Who maintains the building?
I don't know.
Where's the money come from? They've tried that in the past, and the buildings fall apart, and they become ghettos, and then crime and disease. It is a very real problem that we need to find the root of and get to the root of. But the reality is sometimes people become homeless because they don't have the mental health required. And I don't mean they're crazy. Some people are too depressed, and it's a serious issue. Some people have schizophrenia. Some people have, psychotic disorders, need medication. Some people can't afford the medication. You get left with a large group of people that are just basically thrown to the gutter, and we have no real easy way to solve the problem. It may not be a problem that can be solved, to be honest, but we can mitigate it properly. I don't think occupying a hotel solves the problem. In fact, it's probably going to make it worse.
Not by force, definitely not by force.
Well, Ian, we already have that. We already have Section 8 housing. We already have projects. So there's government buildings where people live in. So
and they function. Yeah. Of course, you gotta fly through hoops to get into Section 8. Whereas a homeless shelter, you can just walk in and stay.
If you look at the poverty rates, it's usually a cycle that just keeps spinning itself into oblivion with the way that the system has established itself that essentially screws people over with either too much taxes, too much regulations, too much on them that decentivize anyone from any kind of economic mobility because there's barely any left. You're talking about low-skill jobs, they're replaced by immigrants. You're talking about high-skill jobs, they're replaced by visa programs for immigrants. And then companies like Elon Musk get in trouble for not hiring enough immigrants. So where's the upward economic mobility? There isn't none. It's a scam. It's all a big system where people within the banking system literally print zero onto a computer, and that's how our financial system is run. Meanwhile, everyone else, what do? They get stuck in this poverty cycle that they never get out of because there's no way out of it.
I'm thinking two things. Either UBI, we print a bunch of money, doesn't seem to work. And then this Microsoft patent 060606 where we implant, chips in these people and then just their biometrics can earn them cryptocurrency so that they have some money just for being.
What if Ian's
I don't think
elite?
implanting was anything having to do with it.
Might not have to implant it. You could do a tattoo. It could be something you eat. I don't know. But you put something in them or on them so that it measures their bioactivity. Maybe a watch so that are they looking at the billboard? If so, they earn cryptocurrency. Just sit there and watch the billboard all day.
I have a conspirity theory.
What's that?
Ian's the elite.
Someone else said I was an arm of the AI, that I'm the avatar of the AI.
You are?
said that on Twitter. Yeah, someone suggested
Why
that.
is it?
because of these things I'm talking about. Maybe I'm
Like you're encouraging.
because that would lead us towards the Matrix, where people are in pods, like generating heat for the system, this giant machine that's like controlling everything. But otherwise, we have homeless people all over the street. Hitler's idea was kill them. He would wrap up all these mentally, ill people and just have them killed because they were ruining his society. That I don't want to do. The Matrix is terrifying, putting people in pods. But what do? They're on the street. If they can't take care of themselves,
there's poop everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
what do you do? Because we're animals. We're wild, barely tamed animals. And if we're not mentally prepared, what do we do?
No idea. I've worked for a homeless shelter, a network. There's no solution. A lot of homeless people refuse to go to shelters and refuse to get jobs. That's another problem. What do? Can't solve the problem. They refuse. You'll pull up and you'll say, we've got a clean shower, we've got a bed, we've got clothing, and you don't got to do anything. You can just live there. They'll go, nah.
I don't want to work for your system.
No, there's no work involved. Literally, I worked for a shelter that would offer people no questions asked, room and board at a house. You get your own key, you come in the back door, you go right to your room, no one asks you any questions. You have a house, you have a shower, you have clothes. No, they wouldn't take it.
So in the meantime, they're out on the street just like polluting the environment, whatever.
Literally like
crapping on the ground, blocking traffic, terrifying people that are walking by.
So one place in Northern California wants to rendition. That's probably the wrong word, but they want to take them and then gain power of attorney over their finances. And that's part of the justification, is that you give these people even an opportunity for a free place to live and they refuse. What do? So now they're saying they have the right to just take these people for mental health reasons and lock them up.
See, that leads towards what Hitler looks like, what Hitler was doing.
Absolute tyranny. Absolute. If somebody wants to sit on the sidewalk, in most places, it's legal to do. You can't block the sidewalk, but they can't arrest you for being in public and sleeping. They do sometimes. In many places, they probably do. But
in San Francisco, they'll get up every morning. My friend Kelly Cutler is like a community organizer for the homeless in San Francisco, and they'll come at like 4 a.m. with fire hoses, just hose everybody on the sidewalk. And
they have a poop department.
It's pretty bad.
I think San Francisco is a really good example of what happens when you have an oligopoly, when you've got Zuckerbergs and Dorseys controlling the system, and they're ultra wealthy elites who pretend to be good people. Dorsey's probably the worst because he's like this hippie guy who talks about all these great things, and then he's just a billionaire who funds critical race theory, and then people are crapping on the street and homeless and destitute. But at least he can fund critical race theory, right? Like that's solving the problem. It's not solving the problem. Homeless people come from all different backgrounds. These people in Silicon Valley just want you to think they're doing the good thing. So that way when you come with your pitchfork, you ignore them because they're the good guys, right? Meanwhile, they're actually making the problems worse.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm at a loss.
Man.
Yeah.
What really frustrates me is that it's the grifters. It's the grifters, man.
What do you mean?
There are people on there's establishment individuals who pretend to be on the left who would waste their time pulling quotes from me out of context for the goal of making a partisan rage bait piece of content.
So like Jimmy Kimmel.
No. I'm talking about people on YouTube who are grifters who take clips from this show out of context.
You're talking about specific people that you're not naming.
And they cut and edit them so that they get you or Luke or me saying things, and then they use that so that people don't want to listen to what we have to say. Yeah. Because if they did, they'd be like, hey, we actually think a lot of the same things. We agree on a lot of the same problems.
Don't worry too much about that stuff.
No, that is the problem. We're trying to unify the people against the machine that is stripping our value away and destroying our lives. And what happens is you get grifters, useful idiots for the establishment, who go on their shows, take clips out of context from shows like this, and then say Tim Pool is far right. When, like, literally, I'm pretty sure the entire bent of this show has been fairly left-wing. Pro-social programs for the homeless, talking about Wall Street being bad. You'd think it would be a pretty left-wing positive,
I did say I like those SWAT teams going in there. And
you're far right.
That was kind of far right, wasn't it?
We were pretty pro-gun. I guess that's a problem.
The teeter-totter.
Someone cut me up and made me look really stupid. I'm already pretty stupid, but like, holy cow. That's not fair. Why'd you do that?
I need more memes, so cut me up.
Come on, man.
So I'll be fair. We did this thing on Jacobin where we looked at the magazine cover of Biden is Jesus, and we were like laughing at them. But the greater context of the segment was about how the left in general, the establishment left, not the progressives, were overwhelmingly praising Biden with like the sun clouds breaking and sunlight beaming down on the inauguration. And we were just using the Jacobin thing as a launching point. But to be fair, we did not realize
We missed
initially
it.
that it was meant to mock the exact same thing. However, in that podcast, we did say, oh man, wait a minute, there's drones on the cover. This is probably parody. It's like satire.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, if it is, we deserve it, right? The problem was you could have taken the episode and watched it and then been like, guys, we completely agree with you. You missed this though. We were agreeing with you the whole time. And I would have been like, oh, look at that. Instead, it was used by a bunch of leftists to mock and deride and insult this show, even though they agree with us.
But
Why? Why? They agree with. We agree with them.
It's easy clicks. Probably.
Exactly.
Yep.
These people are destroying our opportunity to call out the establishment.
Well, I would say
machine.
in regards to that Jacobin thing, I said it earlier. I don't think text flies with sarcasm. You don't see it when you see text. And same with images. You can't tell if that's sarcasm or not.
I mean, for me, it's like, whatever. It's okay. You did it. I'm just going to keep focusing on my mission and my job and my goals, and I'm going to try to reach them. I'm going to try to help as many people as I can. And if they want to do that, let them do it.
Luke,
But at the end of the day, I'm going to be laser focused.
It's not personal. It's about, right now we have on Reddit these people going after the machine, and it's working. And we have a nonpartisan issue where everyone kind of agrees. We're seeing Donald Trump Jr. and AOC agree on the same thing. The issue is not personal. I don't care if you call me a bunch of stupid names and mock my appearance like they do. I don't care. It comes to the territory. Don't expect to get into public, spaces and think everyone's going to love you. It's just not reality. The issue I'm worried about is it's not personal. It's about how they do this to anybody who might actually agree with them. That the tribe is more important than the cause. They will mock, like you, Ian, probably agree with a lot of these left-wing personalities substantially more than anyone we've had on the show, like especially criticisms of Donald Trump. But they would cut segments up of you to make you look like you're far right instead of just being like, we like this guy. Because it's more, for them, the tribe is more important than the cause. So my concern is we want to get people to rally around what we all agree on and build culture and community and support for the things we can accomplish. But the grifters are the ones who are destroying that because they're more interested in clicks and rallying people to hate each other.
What we can do is not grift. If we can...
Well, we don't.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't think I do. I really do not. I try not to take people out of context, man. That what was that kid who had the Native American dude in his face and he was smiling? And
right, Covington.
I took that. I almost snapped on that. And that was a wake-up call for me to take mistake of taking people out of context.
We'll have anybody from left to right, up, down, whatever on this show. We clearly have you and I. We have our arguments. You'll be very critical of Trump.
I wanted to argue with you more today.
But it doesn't work for them. So like the one segment they did where we were talking about Jacobin, they had to edit it to make Luke look stupid because they completely agreed with Luke in every point he was making about the Democrats. So they made it seem like Luke.
I didn't even get to see the image. I was just generally talking about the larger principles of not worshiping someone who's in politics. You shouldn't.
But
don't.
They can't. Yeah. There can't be a podcast where there's actually kind of a moderate view on things. So they have to edit it out of context. But it's not personal. It's more about...
Hey, on the upside, our show about Jacobin got, 500,000 views, whereas the clips probably got a third of that. Or, this show is getting more views than those clips. So that's a good sign.
Well, I just wish people would...
Maybe, I think. I don't know.
The tribalism is a problem. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.